Now, still with the happenings in Davos, Nigeria's Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, says a new healthcare manufacturer is preparing to set up shop in Nigeria. This is as a result of a collaboration between her ministry and the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. This was revealed to Arise business correspondent Rotus Oddiri at the ongoing World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
All right, we are here in Davos 2025 with the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Honorable Minister, we were at the Mongolia House, Arise News. We were treated to a lot of made in Mongolia products. What does Nigeria need to do to attract investment while you're here?
Thank you, Rotus. Nigeria is here on a very targeted mission this year, where as digital trade champions under AFCFTA, we announced that in December, we've been speaking to investors about Nigeria's services sector. That is where we're competitive and exports of services. So how we can be outsourced champions like the Philippines is, Nigeria wants to dominate that space, and we have quite a few interventions for the federal government harnessing investment into that space. We've also been showcasing our fintechs, we've been showcasing our financial services, how we go across the continent. Speaking this morning at the AFCFTA breakfast was Mr. Vice President, just telling the continent about how Nigeria is positioning in digital trade.
Now, you talked about showcasing. You gave a speech at one of the houses. There's a South Africa house. I just mentioned the Mongolia house. There's an India house. There's a Brazil house. Should there be a Nigeria house here in Davos?
I mean, there could be, but frankly, Rotus, we're not here for a jamboree. Not to say that other countries are here for a jamboree, but we're here to sell services. This is where Nigeria is competitive. This is what's going to give our youth productive jobs. And this is the bouquet that we came with. And it's going well, I must say. Look, 9 unicorns in Africa, 5 of them are Nigerian. We have big things to say, and that's just in our tech space. We've been working closely with the Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy. We have a harmonized intervention on digital trade. Yesterday we met with the head of learning for WEF. We have something coming up for Nigerians as well in that space. It's just been phenomenal, an excellent meeting with Afrexim as well, champions of digital trade. There's a lot and we're excited.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned, talking with the Minister of the Digital Economy. I want to also talk about healthcare, and I believe the Minister of Health, Dr. Pate, is here as well. What's your view on how we can make strides in health?
Yeah, so FMITI, we're enablers. We partner with a number of ministries, including health. He and I have a meeting later today with a healthcare manufacturer that's coming to set up in one of our free trade zones to manufacture. I wouldn't let the cat out of the bag, but this is manufacturing in Nigeria for public health goods that will be exported out of Nigeria to the rest of Africa. So we're going to have healthcare manufacturing. We have some policies we've jointly worked on in terms of manufacturing in healthcare, and it's looking good.
Fantastic. Now, we've talked to, Arise News has talked to a lot of Nigerians from the diaspora, whether it's Toronto or Tel Aviv or Silicon Valley. With the great things that the diaspora Nigerians are doing, which you've observed, what do we need to do to bring them back home?
We need to build the trust. We need to let them know that the regulatory environment is open for them, that we listen and we implement, we track. So all my ease of doing business, nearly a decade, it's all to build that trust and to facilitate good regulation, good policy. We've been having some conversations. They're excited.
Fantastic. Just 2 more questions to go. I know you're pressed for time. We had an economist on our show about a year or so ago, Chinwe Egwim, who said Nigeria needs about $50 billion to come in to stabilize the exchange rate. Do you have any targets for how much FX we want to bring into the country?
Well, it's amazing that you mentioned the $50 billion mark, because Mr. President, in the trips that he's been taking since he resumed office in 2023, when we came on board 10 weeks ago, we've done the calculations and it's about $50 billion. So our marching orders is to aggregate, disaggregate what sectors, what are those businesses. It's one thing to have investment announcements, but then tracking what those businesses need to deliver for that money to really come into Nigeria. So we've started doing that work. We're almost completed. We started reaching out to some of the companies. Whatever challenges they have, we are here to make it happen. We're going to bring that money home.
Fantastic. And final question for you. What is your outlook for 2025 for Nigeria? How are you seeing things working out this year?
Yeah, for us at the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, we have a couple of priorities. The first one would be our trade policy, and I've talked about digital trade, where AFCFTA champions, all roads lead to Addis next month. And we're just fixing all our trade policy to enable. You know, we focus a lot on fiscal and monetary in Nigeria, and trade is that pillar that gives productivity and competitiveness. So we continue to work on that. In terms of investment retention, as you know from PEBEC, we have the Platinum Business Champions, and just making sure that money stays at home. And then investment attraction, which I've spoken about, and we continue to do that work. We also will continue to accelerate diversification in the economy through manufacturing. We have the single window project finally coming on stream. The President is really committed to that, and several other good things that we're looking at outrolling this year.
Honourable Minister, forgive me, I have to ask you the Trump question. With all the optimism of what's going on, how are you anticipating how President Donald Trump could, shake things up in global trade and how Nigeria might be impacted?
Even you, Rotus, I've gotten that question from all the U.S. journalists here. The U.S. is a strategic partner for Nigeria. We continue to expect to do good business with Nigeria and the United States. We also have made it clear that we'll be watching the body language of Mr. President Trump. We'll be watching his Commerce Secretary and what they have to offer for Nigeria. We work very closely with the diplomats right now in Nigeria. We continue to look forward to that. But hey, Nigeria is a beautiful bride. We're friends with China, we're friends with Brazil. The Indian Prime Minister after 17 years was in Nigeria. UAE, we're having meetings, Saudi Arabia, Germany. We're open for business, Rotus, and we're looking at everybody's body language, including the United States.
Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, the Honourable Minister of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, thank you so much for talking to Arise News here in Davos, Switzerland.
You're welcome. Stay warm.